To another episode. Ryan and Kevin here with Chaos MMA, and today we have Darian Weeks, who's gonna fight Ian Garry at UFC 273. Darren, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good. How you guys doing?
I'm doing good. So you're getting ready for this huge fight. Honestly, this probably might be one of the biggest fights for you in your career so far. A lot of people will be in tune on one of the biggest cards of the year. How are you feeling right now?
I'm feeling hyped. I'm feeling honored that they picked me for this fight in this position. I'm feeling ready. I'm feeling trained up. It's not on 4 days notice, so we're good to go.
Yeah, and you said the 4 days notice thing. Now you're getting a full training camp for this fight. Unlike your last fight, you took a 4 days notice. On how much better do you feel right now, getting a full fight camp? Like, I'm sure you feel much better than the last camp where you took that 4 days notice and you had to make that quick weight cut. How much better do you feel right now?
I mean, I feel a ton better. And for sure, yeah, I do feel, way better than I did when I took that one on 4 days notice.
Yeah.
My cardio better. My strength and conditioning's better. My all-around game is better. Having a game plan, I didn't come off from sitting on the couch, the gym since the time I heard about this. So I'm ready to go. I feel excited. I feel pumped up that this one will be in front of a crowd, probably over 20,000 fans, sold out arena. And like my man said, one of the biggest cards of the year. So I can't wait.
Yeah, it's going to be a crazy night about 2 weeks away. And speaking of your short notice fight, very close fight, some people did think you won that fight and it was on 4 days notice. So, not that many people go out there and do that. But is that one you're looking to get back on like a full camp, and beat Brian eventually one day?
Possibly if my career comes to that,
okay.
Put him in front of me again, I would love that. If he wanted to do it again, I'd love it. We had a great time in the cage, regardless either way. Yes. So, and I mean, I fight anyone and everyone, so I'm not worried about that. So, yeah, if that ever came back around, I would love to get that back. But it's not something that is my main focus right now or what I'm chasing,
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and hopefully we hope that you get that we get that back one day. We'd love to see it. But speaking more on the fight with Ian Garry, how has your training camp been? Have you brought anybody specific in the camp to help you out with his style?
I brought a lot of different guys in the camp, but ranging anywhere from, kickboxers, Muay Thai, wrestlers, and everything. I want to make sure that I'm 100% well-rounded. I want to make sure that I got the top guys around me that's training me for any scenario. He knows I know that he's a kickboxer. So, I wouldn't be surprised if he came out and tried to take a shot on me.
Yeah.
That's just something that fighters do. That's just tries to get a little tricky to try to throw off the other fighter. So I've been, making sure I have a well-rounded game on both sides. So whatever he comes with, whatever he's willing to throw in there, I think I have a lot of the skill to counter it, no matter if it's wrestling or if it's kickboxing.
Yeah, and so you're on such a stacked card, like we said before. During your training camp, does that fire you up anymore? Because there's going to be so many eyes watching, and and you're going to be in the apex with not that many fans. How you feel about all that?
It's in Jacksonville, so it's going to be 20,000 fans, and yeah, I feel pumped up. Like for me to have Cosmot, Gilbert Burns, Calvin Gaslam, both the champs coming in there. Where Aljamain and Andre Volosky, or not Andre Volosky, but for what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I'm excited to that card may be the biggest card of the year, and for me to be put on that card in such a high position in the prelims. People say maybe it's because I'm fighting Ian Garry that I got that spot. But okay, it won't be because of Ian Garry that I retained that spot.
Yeah.
They're going to say about this card that, this guy belongs up here in these, shotgun fights and these fights where, they're explosive and that people want to see. And I'm going to make sure that I put my print on that. So me getting to be in that, whole lineup with a whole bunch of gangsters in there, a whole bunch of guys who come and do what they do and come and, murder people. I feel honored. I feel blessed, actually, to be up there.
Yeah, there's so many fighters on this card that are big and everything, and what we knew it was in Jacksonville. We just meant it's much better probably because you're going to be in Jacksonville with all these fans, and the Apex you don't have as many fans, so it's going to be even a crazier scene and everything else. But speaking of this,
you get kind of that energy from the crowd, that electricity.
Yeah.
When people are screaming, when you can feel the stage shaking from the voice of everybody, it makes you feel like a gladiator in back in the 600, AD, where you're, I got to kill, be killed, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I remember. I don't know if you remember, but the first card back with fans last year was in Jacksonville, Masvidal, Usman too, and it was crazy. Like you could hear it, even watching on TV. The fans were going crazy. What a card that was! Hoping we get a repeat of that on this night. And why do you feel like you're the one to end the Ian Garry hype? Because we know this, he does have a lot of hype around him. A lot of people are saying he's the next big thing in Ireland. You know, there is a lot of people on this train right now. Why do you feel like you are the one to end this hype?
Mostly because I believe in, my skill.
Yeah.
I believe in preparation. I don't get shaken, or I don't get deterred by the hype of a certain person. Everybody at the end of the day is just flesh and bone, and we come to flesh and bone. So it makes no difference to me who they say his name is or what they say he's supposed to be able to do. I feel like with that mindset that I have, that I'm perfect to be somebody to derail this train, and coming in on 4 days' notice against Brian Barberena. Not saying he's the greatest fighter in the UFC, but someone to be such a veteran, and for me, hop right in there, throw gloves, let's go leather to leather, and not really be too gun shy in that fight. I feel like that's why they may have put me in that position to go ahead and be against Ian Garry, because that's somebody they feel like, oh, okay, this will be a fight that has fireworks. This will be a guy who walks forward, who throws punches, who takes people down, who gets people on the ground, who, keeps coming no matter if it's the third round. So I feel like that's the reason that I'll be able to come out with a W that night.
Yeah, it's definitely like a really interesting fight. And you're walking to the octagon April 9th, fans screaming, going crazy. How do you envision this fight playing out? How are you going out there and beating Ian Garry on this night?
I envision using all the skills that that I've trained for. I envision putting my game on him, putting my will on him. I envision him breaking, and I envision coming off with a finish, and if not a finish, a very dominant decision. I've envisioned this scenario 150 different ways, and in 150 different ways, I envision myself winning. So I feel like, you guys will see my hand raised on April 9th, and we'll see where both mine and Ian's futures go after that.
Yeah, can't wait.
Yeah, so there's been a lot of talk on how everybody thinks Ian Garry, he's going to be one of the new, like the next superstars. He's up and coming. What do you think of all that? Like, do you think yourself could be up there at one point, being one of the biggest stars in the UFC?
Oh yeah, I definitely. Now stardom in the UFC, I'm not a big crap talker. I don't got a mouth on me. I don't got funny witty sayings to do. So to say stardom, I don't know. Because that's what the UFC likes to see.
Yeah.
They like to see they like to see your mouth jabbering. They like to see you say some witty things, which is part of the reason why Ian Garry got most of his fame right now. As we've seen in his first fight, he got touched up a lot. He threw that right hand and knocked the guy out with seconds to go, but he got touched up a lot. So stardom, maybe not stardom, but I definitely see me being one of the most lethal guys in the UFC at 170. I feel like there's not an opponent that can step in there with me that won't get damaged. There's not an opponent that can step in there with me that won't get broken, that won't get tired. And I showed to prove that on April 9th, and then I guess we'll also put to the test if he's willing to be that star that the UFC wants him to be or not.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, and so say you go in there April 9th, everything goes your way. You leave the octagon, no major injuries or anything. How active are you looking to stay this year? Are you trying to get right back in the octagon after?
If reason this guy gets ended, they could put me in a fight next week. You hear me? Like we can keep doing it. You understand? Like, because this is our job as well. So I mean, as many fights as I can get, that's keeping my lights on, that's paying the bills. You know what I mean? So hey, line them up. You know what I mean? I've never been afraid of a fist fight, never been shy of a fist fight, and I'm not that guy who needs 15, 5, 4 months off to get ready for the next one. Hey, if I'm feeling good, if my injuries are down, shoot, let's fight. I'm gonna be sparring in practice anyway. Why not get paid for it?
Yeah. And you beat a guy like Ian Garry. Do you feel like after this, like you can get another big name, like, or do you think it's gonna be someone else, like another, like someone else, or do you think it will be another big name because you really just took all that hype and it's all around you now because you won that fight? Well, so if you win this fight, how do you feel this is all gonna play out?
I feel like it's going to play out. I guess however the UFC wants it to play out. I'm not, going to jump to calling out some big names. I'm not going to call out the top 10. I'm not going to do all that. I will fight whoever they put in front of me. If they feel like this challenge was big enough to jump me up to some bigger names, jump me up to some bigger names, and we'll go ahead and bang it out. See you, coach. But if they feel like, they wanted me to still chop the block and fight, some of the lower guys, I'll fight them too. I understand that everybody in the UFC is, meant to be taken seriously. These people aren't in the UFC because, that they just paid their way up there. Everybody put their dues in, they fought, they beat some people, they finished some people, and they got their name called up to the big show. So I take everybody 100% serious.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. You want just a second, okay?
Yeah, no doubt. Tune in April 9th. Going to be a great fight, a great card. And, last thing here, whenever we have people on, we always got to get their prediction on an upcoming fight too. I mean, they're fighting on the same card. It's going to be a crazy fight. Gilbert Burns, Khamzat Chimaev, people have mixed feelings on this one. How do you see this one playing out, man?
Me personally, I see Gilbert Burns putting the pressure of the top 10 on Khamzat Chimaev, showing him that this game is a fast game. Yeah, you fought the first few guys up here, but, Gilbert Burns knows how to wrestle. Gilbert Burns knows how to do jiu-jitsu. Gilbert Burns knows how to hit people and block shots. So this will be the first real test. I can't say 100%, but I'm seeing it that way, and I could be 100% wrong, and Khamzat could come show us that he's the real deal. He picks people up, he puts them on their neck, and he don't get touched while doing it. So we'll see what happens. I'm excited that that's on my card, and I'm excited to step into that and, see that, live, see that one live.
Yeah, it's going to be another great fight. Tune in April 9th for UFC 273. For you, man, thanks for coming on again. It was great speaking with you. Good luck for the fight. And if you want to thank any sponsors, shout out any social media, the floor is yours.
Oh, yeah, I shout out SC Fuel. That's a company back at home. Great, clean meals. Go to myscfuel.com. Order all your meals. They ship them all over the country. I also like to shout out CG Salty Sun, best CBD company in the game. And I like to shout out Total Fitness. They do the thing. Iridium, my agency, they put me in position to be the best in my position.
Yep.
So that's all I got to say.
Oh,
Yeah. Thanks again, man. Have a good one. Good luck for this fight. We can't wait.
Brother. You guys have a good night.
You too, man. Peace out.